Kayla Malec, who has recently gone viral for her series He Doesn't Love You, where she detailed the abuse that she endured by her ex-boyfriend Evan Johnson, has now come out with her side of the story to how James Charles is involved in this entire mess. I think that her side of the story is the most important one to this entire situation because she is the one that had to endure abuse for almost a year at the hands of a man that James allegedly had it out to steal from her the entire time. This video is alleged and for entertainment purposes only. In my last video, which I will have linked down below if you haven't seen it, I went into great detail about the inconsistencies of James Charles' video where he addressed the allegations of him and Evan Johnson. His video was full of commenters saying how much they believed him because they were not looking between the cracks and finding the inconsistencies and even the truth behind what he was saying. The first thing that I noticed in his addressing things video was that he essentially admitted to all of the most important allegations against him of making friends and flying out to his house a known abuser. He even showed the text messages where Kayla told him that Evan was abusive. In summary, he showed everyone proof that he wanted Evan more than he cared about what Evan had done. We also have gone over all of the disturbing allegations that have been out about James for a while now in my previous video, so I will also have those linked down below if you want to catch up on what happened up until now, and I highly recommend it if you are unaware of the details to this situation because it is unbelievably disturbing to the point where I do not understand how anybody supports him after all of these things that James Charles has quite literally admitted to doing. But today we are going to go over Kayla's video where she shares her side of the story on what happened, and there are many disturbing instances where James was involved. One thing I want to mention is that she agrees that it is weird that James didn't even wait a day after she won in court against her abuser before he posted his angry rant on TikTok.
Listen, I get it. If your name's being slandered and you want to clock that, clock it. I get it. But to do it an hour after I win the court case is crazy in my opinion. An hour, 1 hour after I announce that I win the court case, here's a 10-minute video and all my comments are now flooded with, did you see James's new video? You couldn't even wait till the fucking 8th?
I want you all to imagine that you are in this girl's situation. She is a young 20-year-old influencer who has a massive following and millions of eyes are on her and her story. She was courageous in taking her abuser to court and she won. The day that she won, she was supposed to be able to celebrate this victory because this doesn't happen to every woman who is the victim of abuse. All of her comments should have been filled with support for her and going through this entire situation and how brave she was in taking her abuser to court and winning. But the comments were taken over because an hour after it was announced that she won, James Charles finally posts his long-awaited addressing things video where he is visibly angry in it. I believe that James allegedly waited until he knew if Evan was going to be convicted of the crime before he came out and said anything, because I don't think he wants there to be any more receipts that show that there may have allegedly been more going on between them than he had admitted to.
I find it interesting though that James posted conversation receipts with everybody. Me, a clip from my sister's live stream, like everybody's receipts except for his Instagram DMs with my ex-boyfriend. If they're not already deleted. And also, I do think it is fishy to create such a friendship with somebody off of being attracted to them.
James and Evan, to my knowledge, only spoke on Instagram DMs where apparently they used vanish mode. Now, this mode is something that if you have it set, all of your messages to each other will disappear. They are not permanent. This is a pattern that James Charles has because when he had Snapchat and was talking to underage boys, he also used vanish mode. So the only way that there's ever able to be receipts of what was said is if somebody is screen recording it or if they take a photo of it with another device. And you have to do that before the messages disappear. I think that it is incredibly disturbing to use vanish mode because who uses that unless you're doing something you shouldn't be doing, first of all. And of course, it's important to mention that there is also an alleged video of them hooking up that James says does not exist. And maybe it doesn't exist because we have Evan who abused a 20-year-old girl for 9 months, so he doesn't sound very credible. James Charles has admitted to talking to 16 16-year-old boys and uses vanish mode on his social media. He doesn't sound very credible. And now Zach, who has come out with allegations against Evan and James, has allegations against himself. So it's really hard to know what is true in this. But the reason why I'm mentioning this is because if Evan is in jail, he won't have access to his phone to show any of these alleged instances that James is denying. That is just my theory on why I think he waited until he knew that he was convicted before he said anything. I don't think it was to have support for Kayla as he was claiming, because if he wanted to support Kayla and make it right for what he had done, I don't think he would post this within an hour or two of Kayla winning the case against Evan. This was all about James. I think it immediately discredits your apology whenever you're posting it and trying to take somebody's moment away from them, and in the same breath saying that you shouldn't even be being brought up when it comes down to what she went through, but you posted this right after she won. Kayla cleared up some of the misunderstandings about their friendship, stating that they weren't best friends, but they were friends enough that you just don't do what James did.
So to start off, I would not consider me and James to be best friends at all. I don't even think I'd consider us close friends. We've collabed a few times. I went over to his house, what was that, like 9 months ago, to help him promote his company on live stream. We would text here and there about certain things, but it was definitely not like we were best friends. I like trying to put this into like it's kind of like that one person that's in your class at school that you're like mutuals with. Y'all are like acquaintances. Like we were acquaintances, but I don't think that excuses anything that happens, in my opinion, but that's the best way to describe it. We definitely were not best friends. We were not that close, but we were acquaintances.
And in my personal opinion, if you are on a friendly basis where you have somebody's phone number, where you've done collabs together, it's just like a moral thing to not then go and try and get with somebody that they told you abused them. The first disturbing thing that Kayla brought up about James is that while she was with Evan, the only communication that they had was surrounded around James sending DMs to Kayla about how hot her boyfriend is.
Immediately when I made me and Evan's relationship public on TikTok. So I had posted a video with Evan next to me, and me and James have never DM'd on TikTok. The only previous messages we had on TikTok was us collab posting from when we would film together when I started my Glow Up series, like I was just talking about. Under it, he said, "Girl, who is this?" And I was like, "Oh, this new guy that I met. I think I'm in love. Ha 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 ha." Then a month and a half later, he slides up on another video of me and Evan together. We have not DM'd on TikTok since this. And it's a video of us dancing together at Yosemite, and James slides up and says, "Girl, he's so hot." At that point, that's like the only time that we would text was about him saying how hot Evan was.
I personally think that this is more damning than if they were best friends, because the fact that most of their conversations revolved around Evan from the very beginning shows me that James allegedly was waiting for his shot the entire time. James has shown a pattern of seeking out straight men and treating their sexuality like a game for him to win. So this is not outside of the norm for behavior he has shown in the past and for things that he's admitted to. He is admitted to being obsessed with straight boys. It's predatory. Kayla told the story of the first time that Evan and James met at a party where the two of them were talking for a really long time. They talked at the party, and Evan told Kayla that James just told him how good looking he was and that he was the best looking guy there.
So fast forward to October, and me, Evan, Emma, and Brennan all get invited to a birthday party. We get there, and lo and behold, James is there. And Evan and James have not met at this point, obviously. The only thing that's been said is how hot James thinks Evan is, which is like, fine, whatever. So I see James, I say hi to him, and I introduce them to each other. And they're just talking for a fat minute. I don't know what really they were talking about. I wasn't really in the conversation. I was talking to Lila. I was talking to my other friends. I wasn't really in the conversation. And I don't know how accurate this is. I was not listening to the conversation. Evan did tell me after that James was just saying how Evan was the hottest guy at the bar and he was the hottest guy there. I don't know how true that is. I don't know. But that's what I was told James was saying, is just how hot he was. And once again, I brush it off. Haha, funny, whatever. Like 2 months after that, I get another DM from James. On December 17th, I posted a video of us at Hawaii together, and James, once again, our only DMs is him once again being like, "Oh my God, he's so beautiful." So literally the only DMs we have in the past year is him saying how hot my boyfriend is.
And then on the trip where Evan and Kayla broke up, Evan told James that he should come to the trip that he was on with Kayla. James sends back a kissy face selfie saying, "Why should I come?"
And me, Brennan, Emma, and my boyfriend are in Hawaii. And this was the trip that we ended up breaking up and all of that shit happened. It's about the third night that we're there. And I don't know if I'm allowed to include this. I'm going to anyways. But we're all sitting on the balcony of our Airbnb talking. And Evan starts saying that James is DMing him on Instagram. And immediately I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? Why are you DMing James? Like, immediately I'm just like, fuck no. Like, you're not going to do that. That's weird in my opinion. And at this point, our relationship was basically already over. And even Brennan was like, and Emma were like, what the fuck are you doing? Why are you DMing him on Instagram? So we look over at the phone and Evan sends James a picture on Instagram. So like, you know how you snap on Snapchat? Like doing that on Instagram, like sending pictures back and forth. And Evan is like, you should go to Hawaii with us. And James sends back this saying, like, why should I come to Hawaii? And that, for the first time, is when I was like, what the fuck? And I don't know for sure, but I'm pretty sure they continued to text throughout the night. I do know that all of their texts are over Instagram.
Now, this is just an opinion and not fact. I think that James allegedly had probably been talking to Evan behind the scenes more than Kayla even knows. Just based on the things that I'm seeing, this does not look like somebody who's having a casual conversation. This looks like people that have been communicating for a while. And yes, Zach has his own allegations of disturbing behavior being brought up against him as well. However, he also said that he witnessed the two of them frequently texting and sending photos. I think perhaps Evan was trying to play down or make a joke of the type of communication that had been going on when he was around Kayla or his friends. And I feel like based on this that there was allegedly something else going on and maybe a little bit longer than what they knew. Now that is just an opinion and not a fact or a rumor I'm starting. It's just a feeling that maybe there was based on the text messages that I've seen and the three people that have talked about the situation. Kayla goes on to talk about when she told James that they broke up because he was abusive, and she expresses the same feelings about how he did not take her seriously and he crossed so many boundaries by communicating with Evan after she told him this. She proceeds to share with him that she is going to make a 30-part series about the entire thing.
So fast forward literally 2 weeks past this, me and Evan have broken up, and literally the day after we break up, James texts me and he basically is asking me and Evan to be a part of this painted commercial video. And it was supposed to be like me and Evan, and it was like a couple thing, and it was for Valentine's Day. So I respond, and I'm like, hey, I'm sorry, but we just broke up. He is the only person that I told, because this is a day after we officially broke up, he is the only person I told about a, quote, 30-part series that I was going to film about what I went through. He goes, what? I go, girl, he's being crazy. And then there we go. What happened? Can I have him now? In these, I made it pretty clear that Evan had me over. I brought up abuse, the worst thing a human can do. Obviously did not go into depth with what I had went through. At this point, like James said in his video, my friends didn't even know, my family didn't even know the full story. Nobody knew the full story. And obviously, I don't expect him to sit there and ask, oh, well, what happened? I don't expect him to do that. I get feeling uncomfortable in that situation. But I 100% think that in these messages, I made it crystal clear that what he put me through was not okay. It was not normal, and it was an abusive relationship. I just think I made that clear. He knew me more than he knew Evan. He met Evan through me. With that information, with what I told you, it should have been okay, I understand, and move on. There should not be a second part to this. It should have ended right there. If you have good morals, it would have ended there. I know people in my life that I have, am acquaintances with, and they would not do that to me, and I would not do that to them. I would not do this to people that I've even collabed with once. I wouldn't do that to somebody. So in my opinion, it should have ended there.
Her and Evan, they weren't no communication yet, so they end up having a phone call where Evan somehow knew about this 30-part series that Kayla said she was going to start. And he told her that if you talk about what I did to you in the public, you do not love me. The day before I go live and say that I was in an abusive relationship, this was the day before I officially made it no contact and realized, holy shit, I wake up basically. So me and Evan have our final call. And this is when Evan says to me, if you
tell people what I did to you. That means you never loved me. That's when he said all of that on the phone. It was our last ever conversation. But in the beginning of that phone call, while we're talking, he brings up me making a 30-part series. And I immediately am like, how the do you know that? And he quote said a 30-part series. The only person that I texted about making a 30-part series was James. James was the only person I told about making a quote 30-part series. Once again, I don't know how true this is. Evan told me that James had sent him screenshots of our messages warning Evan that I was going to make a 30-part series. Once again, don't know how true that is, but it makes fucking sense because on the phone, Evan literally said, so are you going to make that 30-part series about me? And in the text messages, once again, in the messages, I quite literally quote, tune in for the 30-part Who the F Did I Marry series. Allegedly, apparently, from what I was told, is that right after sending those text messages telling James that we broke up, James went and DM'd him on Instagram, sent him those text messages to warn him, and then they started to create a friendship.
Kayla said that she told no one about a 30-part series except for James. James was the only one that knew about the series that she was going to do. Meaning, James told Evan behind the scenes that Kayla was going to be making videos on him. We already know that James was mentoring Evan behind the scenes because apparently he felt like he could relate with this abusive man. With the allegations that were going to be coming up against him and all of the cancellations and hate that he was going to get, James felt like he could relate with him, so he was mentoring him. So behind the scenes, he's allegedly warning this known abuser that he has been told was abusive. The allegations and the things that you did are going to be coming out against you. So when James is in his video and he's saying, I didn't know the details about what had actually happened yet, I find it interesting that he never asked. He hears that there's going to be a 30-part series about the abuse that you were told just happened, and instead of getting the details on what that is, you then go to the person that it's about to warn them. You don't then get to say all of the things that you said in your video about trying to show support for Kayla when you warned the abuser that the series was going to be coming out. In my personal opinion, I think that that put Kayla in danger. I think that if he told Evan that, like it is being alleged, it put Kayla in danger of this man. Now, there is no telling how much communication was actually going on between the two of them and for how long, but I find it bizarre that they had minimal communication unless it was about Evan. And then the very next day after they break up, James asks her to be on a shoot with him. It almost comes off like James allegedly already knew that they broke up and just wanted to confirm it with Kayla or get some sort of text evidence that she told him that they broke up before he flew him out there. I know that I keep saying allegedly in this video, but James is threatening lawsuits against people, and I just want to be very careful with what I said, that this is all alleged and for entertainment purposes only, and I do not know the truth behind these things. I'm just doing a video on what is out there. Kayla feels like the friendship started between them after she told him that they broke up, alleging that she believes that James used that as a way to get in good with Evan on his good graces by telling him about the series. Kayla goes on to give details about the situation when she caught Evan at James's house. This is where James has claimed in his video that he knew something was wrong. It's interesting to me that James said in his video that he thought something wasn't right just before she found out Evan was there, that he started then noticing that there were inconsistencies, which I find strange because you've been communicating with this man enough to invite him to your house. He's been there all weekend, and it took you that long, like right as you're getting caught that he's there, to realize something's not right. Something about that does not add up to me.
About a month after all of this, I still have not spoken out publicly. The only thing I've done is go on live and say that I was in an abusive relationship. I was not ready to talk about the details of it.
And so, it was just like a lot. Like, I was constantly accused of doing things that like just aren't true. I literally like lost the ability to like look at men in the eyes. You know, and like I lost so much of myself, and I'm like really anxious talking about this, and it makes me fucking mad because it's like I'm not coming on here to like bash anybody. I'm not coming on here to hurt anybody's reputation or anybody's anything. I'm literally cannot even sit down and film a video of me dyeing my eyebrows red because it's in the back of my mind and like I don't feel right. I literally don't feel right coming on here and being like, yeah, like we broke up and everything's fine. Because it's not, and that's not the truth. And like the truth is so much that like, and that's the thing though. It's like, if the truth is that bad, like, what did Taylor Swift say? If you don't want shitty songs wrote about you, don't do shitty things.
Still healing, okay? But I'm scrolling on Snapchat and I see that Evan had posted a Snapchat in the exact area that James lives, in a backyard that looked identical to James's backyard. And immediately I was like, there's no way. Because this was about a month after I had been told that they were DMing. And mind you, the last time that we texted was me telling him that we broke up, okay? I text him on March 1st saying, this is so random, hope you're doing good. Are you with Evan? He says, what? Your ex Evan? Doesn't say yes, doesn't say no. I said, yes, posted a picture, looked like your backyard. He goes, why would Evan be in my backyard? Later to find out that he was in his backyard and that James had flown him out to California and they spent the entire weekend together. And honestly, if you knew you weren't doing anything wrong, why didn't you just straight up answer my question and say, yeah, he's here, we're friends? Like, do you And in James's video, he was saying that, oh, well, he seemed depressed and sad and like he needed a friend. I have a lot to say about that, but first thing, if you're just being there for a friend and that you think he's a good person, why do you feel the need to have to lie to me about it? Why do you feel the need to have to lie to me about it? If you truly don't think you're doing anything wrong, why did you lie? Why did you lie about it? And then also keep it such a secret. Second off, you're being there for a quote friend that is your ex or your friends, acquaintances, ex-boyfriend that I told you was abusive.
He even questions her in these texts for asking, trying to make her feel dumb for even thinking that he would even be there. Like, why would he be at my house? It really looks like James was gonna take this to the grave unless he got caught. I truly believe that James wouldn't have said any of this if he didn't get caught. James comes off like he wanted Evan more than he wanted to do what was right, allegedly.
Nobody ever comes clean about anything. Nobody says anything, nothing. I release my he doesn't love you and I talk about everything that he had done to me, and me and James still are not talking. He still does not text me and say, hey, I'm sorry, doesn't try to explain himself, nothing. And in my opinion, that's because he didn't think he'd get caught. He didn't think I'd find out, so he had no reason to tell me firsthand. And that's why this shit really pisses me off. And it is Coachella weekend, a couple weeks later, and a video is posted exposing James to have flown my ex-boyfriend out to California. The second that this video goes public, James starts to blow up my phone, asking if I'm at Coachella, saying that we need to talk. I immediately already knew what he was talking about. Are you at Coachella? Yeah, I am. Can I talk to you? I shut it down. I don't want to fucking talk to you. He says, I felt guilty for weeks and I didn't know how to tell you and I owe the truth. I explained it to you from my mouth, not the Zach guy, and then you can feel however you want to. To me, it's quite ironic that you suddenly feel guilty about this the second that it's made public. I've known for a while, but I saw the proof today. I'm just shocked. There's a ton to explain. I'm annoyed with myself for allowing you to find out this way instead of just telling you myself. I say, okay. He then says, he manipulated me as well and I fell for it. To when I then reply, I got so pissed off. How did you get to the point for him to manipulate you? I told you he abused me the day we broke up. Then you texted him that day that I told you that. But I'd rather talk to you about this tomorrow. You met him because he was my boyfriend.
James did not commit a crime, but it is so morally wrong and inhumane to want to hook up with, or whatever happened between the two of them, we will never know, with a guy that your friend told you abused them. I don't think it matters that he's sorry now. You would be sorry too if you had millions of dollars that were being threatened by allegations this bad.
And watching the apology video, quite literally, pissed me off even more. My text messages of me saying that it was abusive, that he did the worst things a human could possibly do, those were taken lightheartedly. And then you went and DM'd him and formed a friendship with my ex-boyfriend, believed everything he was saying about being depressed and suicide, and you wanted to sit there and be there for him, and you believed everything that came out of his mouth, but not mine. I did not find out through TikTok, and if this shit was not made public, I do not think I would have ever found out. I don't think I ever would have received a "I felt guilty for weeks" text. I don't think I would have gotten that at all. I do not think I would have gotten an apology, or he would have owned up to it and texted me about it if it had not been made public.
You do not get on there, and now that the video is out and the allegations are out there, say, oh, I didn't know until what was in the video, and the second I heard how bad it was, I was horrified about it. You don't get to say that when you literally warned the abuser that it was coming out. Does any of y'all realize how bad that is? That's disturbing. You all are gonna have to let me know what you think about this in the comments down below, and I will see you soon for another video.